Hello and welcome to my video. In this video I'm going to take you through the basics of overclocking your graphics card. Now I'm using a free program off the internet called Tuner. Now the reason, however, there's one or two ATI cards that won't work with Tuner, and if that's the case I would recommend another overclocking tool. And that's a free download as well, and that one's called ATI Tool. But the principles of overclocking with any of these programs are the same. I'm just doing it with Tuner. So if you've got an ATI card and it doesn't work with Tuner, I would recommend using ATI Tool, but you can still use this guide. Anyway, how to overclock your graphics card. You go to the bottom customize here and go to the first icon. Your system tweaks window should appear. To activate your overclocking options, just tick that box and go to detect now. Now these bars should come alive. Newer graphics cards will have 3 bars and the older graphics cards will have just the 2, your core clock and your memory clock. So don't worry if you're missing the middle bar as such. Now to overclock, all you do is start off with a core clock. What you do, right, it's currently running at its default speed of 576. All you do is move it up 10 points. So I'd move it up from 576 to 586, like that. With XP, if you're using XP, I'm using Vista. If you're using XP, you'll have a button that says test there. Vista owners do not have that, so don't worry if you can't find it. Okay, click test for XP and then go to apply. Now your graphics card is running at a overclocked setting. Now to test for stability and to see if it can run at those speeds, I would recommend on running a benchmark. Now the benchmark I would run for graphics cards would be 3D Mark 05 or 3D Mark 06. I would recommend newer graphics cards to run 06 just because it's a more advanced game engine and it'll put more strain on it. If you've overclocked your graphics card and it plays through the benchmark with no problems whatsoever, that means you've got a nice stable overclock. Now what I would do then, I would create a profile. I will go to the little floppy disk icon and create a profile here. James, that's my name, and I would call it James. So if I overclock again and it crashes, I can always go back to my last stable overclock and start overclocking from there. And instead of putting 10, I would probably move it up 5 points instead of 10 points, if you see what I mean. Anyway, so I've got a stable overclock, and then I would move it up to from 596 to from 606. Like that. Click apply, run a benchmark. If it passes again, I would create another profile, so if it crashes I can always go back to my last stable overclock. If you want your graphics card to be running at your overclocked settings all the time, even when you boot up your computer, simply tick this box, and can you see the speeds there? That means that your computer will start up at those overclock speed settings. Click apply, like so. I just forgot to mention, by the way, once you've done your core clock and it starts crashing, move on to your shader clock. If you haven't got a shader clock, you move on to the memory clock. So say if you've got a shader clock, you've reached your limit with your core clock, you'd move on to your shader clock, and then you do your 10 points, benchmark, save. And then overclock, benchmark and save, and repeat and rinse. Once it starts crashing and you've hit your limit, then you would go down to your memory clock, rinse and repeat. Yeah? And that, my friend, is the basics of overclocking your graphics cards. While you're here, I've got a couple of websites. I've got one devoted to overclocking your CPU, and I've got one devoted to overclocking your graphics card. The links are on these pages, and that's it really. Thanks for listening, and look out for my future videos.